One of my favorite interviews I've done on the show was with our mutual friend, Don DePani. And I loved that the number one thing that he learned when he was a monk was the power of intentional focus and how it becomes a superpower that governs everything else you do. In this era of constant distractions that you were just talking about, what's your number one strategy for maintaining focus?
I'll give you a couple because focus precedes everything. A lot of people, they're not forgetting a name. They're just not paying attention and focused and hearing the name. So they blame their retention when it's really their attention, right? And so a few things to think about. First of all, your brain is mostly a deletion device. It's trying to keep information out because there's at any given time millions of stimulus you could pay attention to. And if we let everything in, we would go insane. We would be overloaded. We won't be able to process all of it. So the gatekeeper part of your brain, they call it their reticular activating system, the RAS. And the RAS determines where you're going to shine a spotlight, where you're going to put your awareness. And one of the ways to really harness your focus and your RAS is asking questions. So when you ask a new question, it shines a spotlight on what's relevant to that question. Right. The example I give in the book is years ago, many years ago, my sister would send me emails and postcards, images of a very specific breed of dog, a pug dog. And she was seeding a birthday that was coming up. She's a good marketer, right? And because I was asking why she's sending me these photos of this dog. And the funny thing happened, John, I started seeing this pug dog everywhere in my neighborhood. I would be at the health food store and someone in front of me is at the checkout line is carrying a pug dog. I'd be running in my neighborhood and somebody's walking six pug dogs, right? And my question for everyone listening is, did those pug dogs just naturally manifest and teleport into my neighborhood? No, they were always there, but my brain was deleting it because it wasn't important until I started asking the question. Then I started seeing them everywhere. Much like when you buy a new car, you start seeing that car everywhere, right? And so the idea here is when you're reading something, you're not focusing, your mind is wandering. You could ask a question like, how can I use this? How does this relate to what I already know? You could ask more questions and you'll stimulate your RAS. And then when you're reading a page, a lot of people get to the end and forget what they just read because they have no focus. If you have questions, you're like, oh, there's a pug dog, there's a pug dog, there's a pug, there's an answer, there's an answer, there's an answer, right? So questions are the answer. So I want to be conscious, even with your focus, you could always even bring it back right now. Three of my favorite questions to ask to turn knowledge into action, behavior. How can I use this? So when you're listening to your show, when your audience is listening to your show every week, how can I use this? Right? Why must I use this? When will I use this? One of the best ways of focusing is to schedule your focus. One of the most powerful productivity tools we have is our calendar. And we might put like meetings in there or doctor's appointments, parent teacher meetings, whatever. But are we scheduling our implementation? Are we scheduling the things that we need to focus on? Even if you ruminate about things that you want to worry about, then schedule that. Hey, at 4:15 today, I'm not going to worry about this thing that I really need to focus right now on this project with my team. And yet I'm ruminating about this other thing. Hey, at 4:15, that's when I'll focus on that. And it allows you to release and frees up that energy and that mental bandwidth to do something else. The other thing I would say about focus is a muscle, right? My interview with Don DePani has over 1 million views on our YouTube version. And I would say focus is a muscle. That's why you meditate, right? Right. I don't meditate to get enlightened. I meditate because when my thoughts go somewhere, I think about the dry cleaning or my trip I have to make tomorrow. When I pull it back to my breath, or I pull it back to a word like a mantra or phrase, then I exercise my focus. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you do a little exercise each day, one or two times a day, do a little 10-minute, 15-minute meditation to just be there with your thoughts, then you're exercising, you're working out your concentration, and it'll show up later in the day when you're with your kids or when you need to focus on a Zoom call or something else. So I would say ask better questions and also build your focus, do exercises, even when you're eating. Don't multitask, right? And work and everything else. Just enjoy the food. Mindfulness is not regulated to just meditation. We could bring mindfulness into brushing our teeth and eating each day, small little things. And that harnesses that, and we're flexing those focus muscles so it shows up in other times of our life.